And a very good morning to you, Grenada, and the rest of the world. It is the 28th day, just, 3 more days before the hurricane season begins. Hey, thanks a lot for joining us for today's edition of Good Day, Grenada. And yes, this morning we're going to be talking hurricane season. Ryan, boy, you're early. It's the first time I've seen you show up here first. Welcome. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Yes, pilgrims, as we take a look at the rundown, we'll see here that we're going to begin by asking the question, are you ready for the hurricane season? Yeah, yeah. Pinkies crossed, and please, God, spare us. Spare us. All we need to do is think back to what happened to Dominica. And if that's not far enough, think back to Hurricane Ivan. Whew. We do have the national report for you this morning as well. And good buddy, Ray Roberts, is going to be joining us in person. Yes, sir. He's going to be sitting in here with us this morning. Looking forward to seeing or hearing what he has up his sleeve this morning. So, let's get down to brass tacks. Much of the following should have already been done. But here are a few reminders. This is as far as the hurricane season is concerned. Pilgrims, plan your evacuation route well ahead of time. You know, a storm hits, your building might be just falling to pieces. And you may want to get to a friend's place. I'm not just talking about your next door neighbor, but somebody who may be some distance away. Talk to them and plan on how you would get there. Okay? Plan. Keep non-perishable emergency supplies on hand. Talking about things like canned foods. Foods that you do not have to refrigerate or cook. A lot of canned stuff. When a hurricane warning is issued, hello, who are you? Yeah? When a hurricane warning is issued, people start running to the stores, scurrying around like chickens with their heads cut off. But as much as possible, get ahead of the rush, having the following things on hand. And these, believe me, are just a few things, okay? Candles or lamps with fuel, extra batteries, matches, and remember to keep those matches dry, materials and tools for emergency home repairs. Sure, you may have to fix a little bit of this and a little bit of that after the storm. Try and keep some emergency materials and tools handy. I'm talking about things like plastic sheeting, plywood, a hammer, screwdriver, you know, that kind of stuff. And especially for those of you who have youngsters and the elderly living with you. Prescription drugs. Make sure that your drugs are up to date, right? And that you have a proper supply to maybe last you for a couple of weeks. You also need to have at least a 3-day supply of drinking water for every person in the household. You need to have first aid supplies, a flashlight. Now, also make an inventory of your personal property. You know, one evening you come home after work, sit down, instead of watching TV, sit around and do an inventory of your personal property. And while doing so, be sure to review your insurance policies. This hurricane season insurance checklist can help you to understand what sort of insurance coverage you have and whether it's adequate to repair or even rebuild your home if necessary. But not only that, make sure you cover the replacement of your belongings. No need going and build a house out there and you ain't got nothing to put in it, right? Take steps to protect your home. Hurricane force winds can turn landscaping materials into missiles that can break windows and doors. And much of the property damage associated with hurricanes occur after the windstorm, when rain enters the structure through broken windows, doors, and openings in the roof. Cut weak branches on trees. Got some trees hanging around outside there? Take a look around. Look like some branches maybe ready to fall off? Cut them. And trees that could fall on your house, and keep the shrubs around your house trimmed. Install storm shutters to protect your windows from breakage, please. Alternatively, fit plywood panels to your windows, which can be nailed to window frames when a storm approaches. Let me see, how much time do we have here? Yeah, 7 minutes after the hour. Okay. But not just your home. Take steps to protect your business as well. Hurricanes do take a toll on businesses, so be prepared. Have a chat with your staff. You know, you got a little company, you got a little shop and thing, a few people working with you. Have a little chat with them. Make sure that they will be taken care of in a storm, or if in the event that they may need your help, how would you be able to help them? Okay? So please, just as importantly, talk with your family about what to do if a hurricane strikes. Discussing hurricanes ahead of time helps to reduce fear, particularly among younger children. I remember what it was like the night Hurricane Janet hit. I tell you, you know, I don't have the best of memories, but one thing I can remember as vividly as the palm of my hands: what happened the night Janet hit. I remember everything that happened. Also, how about staying safe during a hurricane? Remain indoors. Some people like to play brave, you know, maybe out of curiosity, maybe just to show off. They go out and start walking around on the beaches, on the riverbanks, or trying to wade through the flowing floodwaters. Don't do that. Don't. Use flashlights if you're out in the dark, if power goes out, and 99% of the time you know that the power is going to go. Don't go outside with a candle. And please, do not touch any downed electricity cables. Continuing listening to the radio, the local radio, if they're still on the air. Okay, that's another story. Hopefully they'll be able to provide you with information and updates. So avoid contact with floodwater. That floodwater may be contaminated with sewage or contain dangerous insects or even animals. Turn off the power and water mains if you're instructed to do so by your local authorities. How about staying safe indoors? As I mentioned a little while ago, don't go walking or swimming, you know, go down to Grand and hey, I'm gonna take on the waves and all of that. Don't try that, please. And you know that whenever we have very heavy rains here, you see water coming down, like, you know, tons and tons of water coming down. Please, don't try to drive through it. One area that comes to mind, I'm sure there are several others around the island, but one in particular comes to mind. That Balthazar Bridge. Don't try to drive over it if you see that the water is coming over the bridge. Just 6 inches of fast flowing water can knock you over. And guess what? Not only that, 2 feet of water could cause a car to float. Hear that? If you are caught on a flooded road with rapidly rising waters, get out of the car quickly and move to higher ground. Don't walk on beaches. I can't say that often enough. Don't walk on the beaches or on riverbanks. And don't allow your kids, you know, kids are curious. Hey, Mommy, Daddy, can I go outside and play? No, no. And again, avoid contact with floodwater because it may be contaminated with sewage and God knows what else. Okay? Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list of the do's and don'ts in a hurricane season. But I just thought I needed to share those with you this morning. Okay, time now to say good morning. Well, we've already said good morning to Ryan. Good morning, Mags, and Benedict. It's a terrific Tuesday. And, maybe lots of sunshine out there in Brooklyn this morning. Peter's saying, morning from a beautiful Brooklyn. And Ryan's finished his bike riding. Hey, Fragrance Emmanuel Bido Francique, sending a blessed day to you all. And John, hello, John, saying good morning, Gigi and the world. Sorry, Margaret, I know I'm late. Please don't make me do lines. Okay, folks, so speaking about hurricanes, take a look at this, and then we'll come back in a wee bit with the National Report.
A natural disaster can change your life in minutes. Preparation is the best protection for your family and business. Prepare now. Create a disaster plan and make sure everyone knows what to do. Store water, non-perishable food, and medication. Remember basic emergency supplies such as batteries and flashlights. Trim overhanging trees. If trees near power lines are unsafe to trim, call GRENADA at 237 for assistance or advice. Install surge protectors to safeguard your electrical devices against outages and intermittent surges. For more information, visit grenlac.com.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try their sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Quad Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Alrighty, folks, it's now, let's see here, 15 minutes after 9 o'clock. We've now been joined by Kippy, is sending God's blessings as always, and Sonia McKee John is saying good morning from Brooklyn. My beautiful people, aren't we beautiful? Thank you very much, Sonia. Nice to have you on board with us. Pilgrims, like I said at the bottom of the hour this morning, we do expect Mr. Ray Roberts to be sitting right here with us. And so far, I'm looking at the stream, I'm monitoring Facebook, and for some reason, I'm not seeing us on the Grenada broadcast page. We're going to refresh that in just a wee bit. But right now, let's get into the national report.
Grenada among 10 regional countries preparing water sector program for GCF funding. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Monday, May 27th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. Grenada is among 10 Caribbean countries meeting in St. George's this week to prepare a regional water sector program for submission to the Green Climate Fund. The focus of the three-day meeting is to strengthen the capacity of Caribbean water utilities and government ministries responsible for water resource management to develop climate-resilient water proposals. Participants will learn about the Green Climate Fund and funding opportunities and will also be introduced to the GCF concept note and funding proposal template. The GCF, which was established in 2010, seeks to provide financial assistance to developing countries in adaptation and mitigation practices to counter climate change. Grenada has already benefited from the GCF through its G-Cruise project, which creates a climate-resilient water sector with reduced water demand and increased freshwater availability. Climate Resilience Minister Senator Simon Steele is pleased that Grenada's Resilient Water Project can be a model for other islands. He stressed the importance of considering the plans for adaptation to long spells of drought and other climatic conditions.
And the need for us to adapt to that, to be able to address the dangers and the threats of flooding, but also how we capture rainfall during those intense periods, capture, collect, store, and then be able to distribute. And then how we get through those extended drought periods through water efficiency, through better management of our water resources. So once again, I commend the 5 C's for this initiative, focusing on interventions as how we can better manage the water sector.
Meanwhile, Head of Programming at the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, Keith Nichols, is warning that the region is running out of time. Addressing the start of the workshop at the St. George's University on Monday, Nichols said the region must work quickly to secure money from the Green Climate Fund, since projections are that sea levels will rise by another 2 meters by the year 2100.
It means that most of our coastal communities and a lot of countries here in the region are on the coast, our ports, seaports and airports and so on, are almost at sea level, if not at sea level, are at risk, including our groundwater resources. And that is a frightening prospect. So we're not only, as we're here talking for us for today, but also for our future generations. We have an obligation to the future. It's not for ourselves. Yeah, ourselves in the interim, but we need to think ahead of our kids and their kids in turn. And we're not leaving behind a very strong base on which they can survive, unfortunately.
Several recommendations are on the table for funding the national health insurance, including a possible increase in VAT or a payroll tax for NHI, but Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele says no firm decision has yet been taken. Addressing the NMP General Council at the Boca Secondary School on Sunday, Minister Steele says they have completed all studies done with UWI and the actuary Mona Chappell. He said there are various options presented for consideration, which the government must fully discuss.
There is a recommendation within the region that every government should be giving 10% of its national budget to healthcare. Your government right now gives 7.5%. the most that any government in the past has given. So we are increasing that amount. That 7.5, if it were to change to 10%, would result instead of to 84 million, 84 million into healthcare. That is going to bridge some of the gap. The total cost of all of the things I mentioned before is 181 million a year. So 84 million can come from government increasing its budget. But remember, it's a decision and a discussion. When we increase the budget into healthcare, it comes from somewhere else. It may come from education, it may come from works, it will come from somewhere else. So that's a discussion that we have to have. Other option is an increase in value-added tax. Right now we pay 15%. The suggestion or contemplation is that value-added tax can increase from 15 to 17%, and that 2% goes straight to healthcare. But you know, that is part of your healthcare. So the more you spend, those who spend more are contributing more. Third option is a payroll tax, to put a percentage, an additional percentage, like you pay NIS now, to put an additional percentage that's for NHI. For those who are working, the more money your salary is, the more that 6% contribution is. Again, an option.
Other options presented include reinsurance, implementation of a tax on visitors, and options with respect to the CBI program. Minister Steele says they need to make a decision between June and July as to the form of funding so that it can be incorporated in the upcoming budget for implementation of the program in 2020. The services being recommended include primary health care, hospital care, investigative services, basic dental health care, emergency care, home care visits, and acute psychological care, among others. This is the National Report. More news when we return.
The excitement builds for the Grenada Music Festival 2019. 3 nights of pulsating live music and great food. The festival kicks off on Friday, June 7th with Rhythm and Soul, featuring Freddie Jackson, Carrie Hilson, Eddie Bullen, Jefferson Ramirez and the Solid Band, and more. Saturday is Reggae Fest with performances by Busy Signal, Maxi Priest, Kamani Marley, and a special surprise guest. The festival climaxes on Sunday, June 9th with Soca Fusion featuring the All-Stars with Blacks and Tedison John, Patrice Roberts, Was Ways, and many more. General admission Friday and Saturday $80. Sunday you pay only $60. Limited early bird, season pass, and VIP tickets now available at GoToFet.com. It's the most talked about event of the year, GMF 2019. June 7th to 9th. Get your tickets today.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honourable Keith Mitchell says there must be an exit strategy in the Imani program so that young people can know their aptitude at the end and therefore take advantage of available opportunities. Dr. Mitchell, who was at the time addressing Sunday's General Council at the Boca Secondary School, said it is unfair for young people to continue performing as Imanis after the 2-year mark. He says they must secure those who would have performed commendably and are needed by their particular institution.
An important part of this new exercise is the exit strategy. So young people coming in will know when a year and a half in the program, a year in the program, you should know your aptitude for particular activity. So if it is a cooperative in agriculture to build production in the agricultural sector, we have you there. If it's an IT group that can provide services to the community, you are empowered to have a business in that area. If it is an area in other forms of tourism activity, you will be trained accordingly for opportunities, exiting with opportunities. If you're in the Ministry of Health and you're providing excellent service and they want you, you see they have to create opportunities for you.
Finally, while the figures were alarming in 2018, drug trafficking seizures are now on the decline. That's according to head of the drug squad of the Royal Grenada Police Force, Assistant Superintendent Simon Dixon. In 2018, Caribbean law enforcement units were forced to implement stringent measures to curb the drastic increase in drug trafficking seizures, especially coming from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He said from the month of May into December, multilateral collaborations between Grenada and neighboring islands deepened as they formulated solutions to deal with the issue. During that same period, the Financial Intelligence Unit reported that over $600,000 was sent from St. Vincent, the hub of drug trade in the Caribbean. ASP Dixon said he is happy that so far for 2019, drug trafficking has decreased.
What we have seen is a slight decrease in the period 2019 when we compare it to the same period last year. But yes, the activity is still there. The trafficking of cannabis from neighboring St. Vincent is still active. A number of factors is responsible for the decrease in seizures can amount to, well, what I can say for 2019, St. Vincent and Grenadine law enforcement, our counterparts, have been conducting a number of operations within their territory, which means that less cannabis is coming down our direction. Again, we've seen less cannabis being transported from St. Vincent. I want to believe that they're considering the losses. In case they lose that, the loss with small amounts would not be a problem.
He said the importation of cannabis is also responsible for the decline in local drug cultivation.
There's been a reduction throughout the years, and we've seen that with the increase of cannabis being imported, that the number of cultivation goes down. There's still cultivations, however, small crops. And I remember back in my years in this special service unit, when we go and raid fields, we used to come back with trucks. That is not the case now again. Climatic conditions has changed over the years that reduce the cultivation of cannabis.
In Grenada, trafficking of cannabis weighing more than 15 grams can lead to a charge of up to 12 years imprisonment by the magistrate or 25 years to life by the judge. That story just ended the national report for today, Monday, May 27th. Let's recap the top story. Grenada among 10 regional countries preparing water sector program for GCF funding. On behalf of everyone here at the Government Information Service who made this newscast possible, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
All right, folks, there you have it. That's last night's edition of the National Report from the GIS. And just before I get to the comments here, you know, Georgie Porgy can't wait when he sees something good happening to jump up and talk about it. And something I have to acknowledge this morning. We have now been going for half an hour. And I have not seen so much as a hiccup on the stream, both on my iPhone and on my desktop. So far this morning, things are going just fine. Now, you know, you'll probably say, shut up, George, because every time you say stuff like that, for whatever reason, things go kaput. Well, so be it. But I have to acknowledge that things are working this morning. Thank you. Now, let's get down to your comments. Margaret says, so wait, The magistrate give one sentence and the judge another. Yay, Mags. Hey, a little earlier on, she was talking about, yesterday we were talking about where is the funding for the national health insurance going to be coming from? And I mentioned to you that I really don't believe that I know where, or they know, the government knows where those funds are coming from. Truth of the matter is, Pilgrims, I've been thinking about it. They already know. You probably already know. You heard taxes mentioned there, okay? You also heard the VAT, value-added tax, yeah. Now, you and I have to come to grips. The health insurance program is going to cost. And the fact remains, those funds have to come from somewhere. I think the reason why eyebrows are raised is because we have just been through one horrendous structural adjustment program, which saw, more than 20 taxes imposed on us, eh? Eh? Yes, the funds have to come from somewhere. But just imagine another tax or two being dumped on us. Yeah, kind of hard to take, kind of hard to take. So I think that's what causes the eyebrows to be raised. But we also have to be honest. The money has to come from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere. Margaret here says, I'm sure if you focus on improving efficiency and cutting waste, you can reduce that cost or channel those excess funds elsewhere. Valid point. Didn't hear much of that mentioned. But Mags, if we were a little bit more frugal with the way we spend money in this place, yeah, probably save some money, which could then go into the National Health Insurance Scheme. Benedict Cador says, how about not using the country's money on, he says, to individuals, I think he may have meant on individuals, and using it for health care? Yeah, that's what I was just suggesting, Benedict. We're very careless with the way we spend money, malicious in some cases. It's like no thinking goes into it, no thinking whatsoever. And if, the monies we got were properly used, probably have some money to put into healthcare. Let's see here. Benedict is also asking, is the Yamani a new program? And he says here, tongue-in-cheek. Good morning, Chris Davies. Good to see you, girl. And she's giving us 3 thumbs up. And John is in Carriacou. John says, I have hiccuped, and as I type, it's gone. Oh, John, good friend out there. Okay. Anyhow, by and large, things are going fine. I'm looking at this thing. Hey, you ain't look that bad after all, Huh? Yeah. Little lipstick would help. Speaking about myself, folks. Anyhow, believe it or not, he is here. I don't know why he's chosen to sit in the chair furthest from me this morning, but Mr. Roberts is here. And so I suggest that we not waste any more time, and let's get ready to take a break here, and we'll come on back with Ray.
My name is Jennifer James, and I've been making confectioneries for the past 7 years. Growing up as a little girl, I always wanted to make these little things. Fudge, sugar cake, tamarind ball, these little things. I read something actually, and it said that tamarind itself is very good because it eliminates fat from the liver. You get the mature tamarind and you crack it, you shell it out, I would add a little baking soda, some spices. I would leave it to rest probably for about 2 hours and then add my sugar and just start kneading. I usually knead it hard enough so that I can roll it. When I finish roll it, I will paste it with the actual white or brown sugar. And you have a nice tamarind ball. I have been providing food fair with tamarind ball about 6 years now. I started producing tamarind ball to sell for the school children. I thought I could advance somewhere. So I went to food fair and I asked one of the salespersons there if they would be interested in selling my tamarind ball. And she told me yes. She told me to bring 20 packets to start with. It was really a joy for me because I wanted to extend on my little business. My name is Jennifer James and I work with the food fair to provide you with tamarind balls.
Boyo, they gonna fly with kite now. The wind picking up.
I'm coming. Karim, what you doing?
Fly my kite.
Yeah, but not here. You can't fly kite near power lines, boy.
Why not? The wind good.
Because mommy say kite threads conduct electricity.
Yeah, kite. He's right. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, you can cause power outages, or even worse, it can get shocked.
Come, let's go and fly them in the pasture.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kite threads conduct electricity. Do not fly kites near overhead power lines. This can lead to electric shocks and power outages. If your kite gets stuck in power lines, do not try to retrieve it. Release it and call GRENADA. Always fly kites in open areas. Keep your kites far away from roads. And remember, always clean up after yourself.
GRENADA, energizing our Grenada.
Mouth Open Story Jump Out comes to Brooklyn and Washington, D.C., featuring the humor and storytelling of Ricardo Kings Douglas.
They say she comes all the way up here to Toronto to shop for cosmetics and go back down.
Roll back the years in Brooklyn with Lord Nelson. Also in the Brooklyn concert, Quick USA. And in Washington, Diane and Friends and Julian Moore. Washington, D.C., Saturday, June 8th. And Father's Day, Sunday, June 16th. In Brooklyn at the Tropical Reflection Ballroom on 4501 Glenwood Road from 6 p.m. It's the perfect Father's Day treat. Tickets, $30 in advance. Available at Eventbrite and popular outlets. Or call 347-350-4285 in Brooklyn and 240-460-0442 in Washington, D.C., Maryland. In Brooklyn, special guest, the Mighty Sparrow, will be joined by cultural ambassadors and preservationists to be recognized with New York State proclamations. They include Lord Nelson, Derek Vento, Heron Rockin' J. Douglas, Gentle Benjamin, Lambert, and the Matadors, and the Quick USA Cultural Organization. Additionally, 2 lucky patrons will get to stay free at the award-winning Blue Horizons Garden Resort in Grenada for 3 nights, including breakfast and a dinner at La Belle Creole Restaurant, sponsored by Tropical Reflection Ballroom, Blue Horizon Gardens Resort, The Pellifer, Caribbean Times Newspaper, Dr. Derek Lezama, Century 21 Achievers Realty, Attorney Glenroy George, The Otley Law Firm, and Funk Media NYC. Washington, D.C., Saturday, June 8th. And Brooklyn, Father's Day. Mouth Open, Story Jump Out.
Alrighty, folks, I can't help it but sit here and smile. A little while ago, I was telling you how great things were going. I mean, we went half an hour. Can you believe it? The first half of the program, no issues whatsoever. I mean, look, even Chris Davies here said signal was great on Facebook. She's absolutely right. And then, right after that, while I was speaking, actually, John said, I have hiccuped. And as I type, it's gone. And now he comes back here and says, cue the gremlins. Folks, even on my desktop, I lost it. My iPad, my iPhone's beautiful. And as far as the transmitting system's concerned, perfect. Life goes on. Now, take a look. There is Mr. Roberts. How are you, Pilgrim? You good this morning?
Well, not complaining again. Just another wonderful day in God's world.
Absolutely. And I keep telling you, Ray, it doesn't make sense complaining because nobody listening.
Well,
Anyway.
it's a way to let out perhaps the steam or what's on your mind.
You got steam on your mind this morning?
Well, I just have issues that I talk about, but I'm very conscious that not to make anything a burden.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to inflict harm on your own self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let's hear what you'd like to talk about this morning.
Well, the premier piece would be the good news from the General Council that public officers and civil servants, as we used to call them when I was there, will all be paid their pension and they will all get it at some point in time. So that's the good news coming from the mouth of the Prime Minister and his General Council over the weekend. What we
Coming from his mouth. Right?
Yes.
Is there a guarantee?
Well, I'm coming to that.
Oh,
one.
okay.
The question is, there are no details as to how these gifts and these wonderful incentives that we all yearn for will be achieved. Clearly, you can always call numbers. The question is, what are you putting in place to ensure that the numbers are available when people are about to retire? So again, a lot of words of encouragement and maybe good intention, but I think we need to begin to tell people, here is the process, here is how it will evolve, here is where the investment going to be made, here is where the money is going to be coming from. So this morning I just came from the office there, Prime Minister's office, and I met a number of public officers who were talking about it, but again, they were just like me asking the question, how will this big pie be achieved? Because right now the pie is small, as you know. Many people are retiring without anything. And in the next 5 years or so, you'll find another huge group going again. And the question is, we need to ask ourselves, and perhaps we as a people and those who are in the service still need to galvanize themselves and clearly demonstrate that words are nice, but we need to see action to begin to put words into practice.
The proof is in the pudding.
Always there. And George, I wouldn't hesitate and I wouldn't fail to make a mention this morning that you have said it many times. We are in the hurricane season, and I'm not too sure, well, I can speak for down in the south area, I'm not too sure I'm seeing the preparation that NAGMA has often called upon us to undertake. So I'm saying it this morning again that we need to recognize that we have no control over that process. So the trees and the drains and what have you that often create a problem or danger to communities, maybe we should all begin to do something about it. So whenever this...
Stick a pin there for a minute,
Right.
Ray. And I want to get back to this hurricane thing, but just before we move on, you're talking about the funds for the civil servants. It's not just the civil servants, Ray. The government also finds itself in a position right now where it has to tell people where they're getting the money for the NHI. I don't know if you saw the news last night, a lot of talk from taxes and VAT and so on and so forth.
Well, again, that needs a lot of more brainstorming. So that one is, for me, while it is urgently needed, you can't have a constitutional legality and then not honor it. So I think people's pension, obviously, when I went into service, I knew at this stage of my life I will own something. So I think we need to get that one right very soon, because the health insurance certainly will not really compensate for it, because if you're not getting income, obviously you'll go sick because you expected it, your time has come to retire, you're not getting it, so you'll have a huge number of sick people who are perhaps sick in the mind first, and your NHS will just be bled to death. So I think without any doubt, you need to get what the law says right and make it an honorable thing. That's what we need to see happening. Yes, health insurance is great, it's a necessary, but as you know, in the United States, where you live part of your life, Canada, it is something that needs to be well thought out. It cannot be a political thing for a 5-year period because you are again trying to capture votes while it is early.
Well, like I said earlier on this week, I said, I still don't think government knows exactly where the funds are going to be coming from. But if I'm not mistaken, I did see last night where they said that they hope to make their minds up sometime in June or July as to where the funds are definitely going to come from.
Taxes can't fund that. That's to start with. Taxes can't fund that.
Well, actually,
employment may be up. Let's see the construction fees of Grenada's growth declines. Taxes will certainly fall. So it has to be something more than that. And then there's another debate. People like me, I'm not dropping my insurance to go no health insurance. So then there's a second debate like what Obama faced. Will people who have the insurance right now, will they keep it up just like that? So we have to be clear that this is a story that needs a lot of more input. It is good to be fooling people, oil boom and nonsense around the place. But remember, you're hurting real people when you might exit the scene. You will leave that worries for other people. So do it right.
Yeah. All right. We'll see where that goes. Now, you started talking about the hurricane season, and you said you really haven't seen a lot of action.
Not at all.
Ray, I couldn't agree with you more, my friend. Just this past week, I sent a note to NADMA asking them, do you guys have any promos or anything that you put out for the hurricane season? I haven't heard from them. However, I had hand-delivered, and here it is, pilgrims, hand-delivered yesterday from the Ministry of Climate Resilience. It's an invitation. Dear Mr. Grant, please be reminded that the National Disaster Management Plan, Final Draft 2011, states that Grenada Broadcast, is a member of the National Public Education and Information Committee. As a consequence, the National Disaster Management Agency is kindly requesting the submission of the names and contact information of 2 representatives, a primary and an alternate, from your organization to serve as members of the National Public Education and Information Committee. The attached excerpts from the National Disaster Management Plan outlines the roles and responsibilities of the committee. I shall be grateful if the names and contact information of these representatives could be submitted to NADMA's office on or before Monday the 27th. That was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. By contacting Ms. Valerie Phillip, Administrative Assistant, on telephone number blah, 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 blah. In light of the foregoing, we are hereby inviting your nominees to attend a committee meeting on Thursday, the 30th of May. You're putting together a public education and information committee. 2 days, Ray. 2 days before the hurricane season. And we have already had a storm, Andrea, up north of here. And you know, Ray, I'll tell you what's so ironic. This morning, do you know a journalist in Jamaica by the name of Janet Silvera?
No.
Janet has been appearing with us on Mec We Chat quite a bit lately. And she sent an email to me only this morning. Good morning. Can you send me an update on the readiness of your various countries for the upcoming hurricane season? I am begging. I have an interview this morning, and I was so busy yesterday and the day before, I forgot to check. Would love to hear about Dominica. This lady is in Jamaica, and I get the sense that what she's probably indicating here is that there hasn't been much readiness shown. Okay? Ray, when are we going to get it right? 2 days before the hurricane season, you're putting together a committee to educate people?
Well, again, as I say, we the citizens are the ones who have become so complacent that nothing matters. The consequences, I'm sure, like it was, what, 15 years ago, will perhaps return again. History, they say, repeats itself.
Yeah, right. It is pathetic. It is pathetic. And then we can't understand why we're going through what we're going through. Hold on a sec here. Margaret says, Ray is quite right. Taxes can't fund it. It doesn't have to be one or the other, Ray. You can have a mix of public and private insurance.
Well, let us agree on that before you push something down people's throat. I agree with that. I have no problem with that. I support it. I guess the concern people always have is how good the government thing is based on their history. And not government in Grenada, but governments, anywhere.
Track records speak.
That's correct.
Ryan Jabon says, Ray, NI, meaning National Insurance for Grenada, is window dressing.
Well, I hope not. I think we should try to do something. As limited as it is, I think we should try to do something. I don't know the volume as to what we're thinking. I know we create a facade in Grenada always that fools the fools. I mean, I can't help saying that. And it's unfortunate that we do that to people because history does not seem to have any meaning to us. You lie yesterday, you lied the year before, and you come this week and you said, look, heaven is going to be on earth.
And you expect me to believe it?
But some of us do. So that's what I'm saying. But Mr. Jabon, I would hope something is, because you look around, a gentleman yesterday, and I wish him well in any case because he's my dentist. He had mild stroke or something like that. But I met another one while relaying the message to me. He said he just came from the carnage to get some, whatever it is, and it cost him $1,500. He is an average person, but that's the cost of having this. Is an MRI, right? And that cost him around that.
I've had one of those. $1,500 is right.
That is correct. So there are people who can't afford these things, and while health insurance may not provide all of it, it may provide some comfort by being able to give something, whatever it is. So I am one of those who believe I am not in the accounting business, neither am I one who good at maths, but there are people who we can, well, ILO for sure can help us get something that is near perfect. It won't be perfect, but something that can stood the test of time.
Kipling Francis says, we do understand what is happening. We just don't care. I don't think that we are foolish. It's a matter of blind loyalty.
Well, it boils down to being foolish still. Why would you have blind loyalty to anyone, for things that there's no history of success, things that you don't have any details as to how it will unfold. I mean, don't you see, we all listen to American television, and the most used word, where are the details? Where are the details in your plan? I mean, 24 Democratic contenders, and they each question each other about the details in his or her plan. So we may as well begin to ask our leaders, our administrators, let us have some details. Don't just tell us it's a lovely pie. What are the things that contributed to make that pie what it is?
Margaret says, healthcare anywhere is as good as one's ability to pay.
That is a fact.
That means if you are on the low end of the totem pole, you will get the messy end of the stick.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I would say that I thought Ann Peters did a good job of. She was championing.
Who's that?
Ann Peters, when she was she was championing greater awareness about public health and people's ability to keep themselves in better shape by being part of the physical activities, by being engaged in activities that would certainly give the body some kind of activity. But I'm not too sure I'm hearing that now, because I read a piece from Reds, which I'll share with you. His 80th birthday, somebody interviewed him, and he was saying to the person that one of the things that concerns him most in St. Lucia and in the OECS, so many playing fields that were once crowded with young people are now almost empty. And as you walk the side of the road, everybody with a cell phone joking heaven knows what. So he's saying at 80 he feels good, but he's so worried about those who are coming up the line because they're not exercising. They just seem to be static with this cell phone, and that is not going to contribute to a healthy nation.
Yeah.
Because you're not exercising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Ryan Jaban says here, Ray, I love your optimism. He says, yes, one must be pragmatic in everything. Now, Margaret also says here, we have to emphasize preventative care. And
that's it. That's what I'm talking about.
You were just saying that here.
That's what I'm talking about.
She says people have to realize that they have to take care of themselves and make right lifestyle choices. Most of the diseases in Grenada are lifestyle illnesses.
Well, she's right, because that's what I was looking for, preventative action, and that's what is missing. I mean, let's put it this way, George. You look at, and I'm not really want to knock in anybody, but you look at cross country for any school in Grenada, and then you see a small group a mile in front and a large group of young, not quite obese, but certainly getting there, either walking or crawling. And yes, 10-year-old and 12-year-old, we can understand that all of us have maybe a different metabolism, but I'm seeing too many people these days who are, I'm sure, it all boils down to a lack of activities that can contribute to better health. I mean, very shortly you'll see in Montrouge, the carnival preparation. There are going to be, what, hundreds of men and women in Montrouge, sometimes 200-300, participating in exercises as a means of getting ready for carnival. Yeah, it's an annual thing.
Oh, really?
In fact, I'm told the gyms see the largest numbers in the build up to carnival. June, July, the numbers are their peak, local people. And then the SSU, they also had something going to, large numbers. But it seems once that is over, you go back to normal behavior.
Yeah. John says, we know you're watching this. To whomever is messing with Facebook, each time you click a key on your keyboard, you leave a track. So beware. Okay, John. Ray, listen, we got to scoot. It's 10 o'clock, and some of these people got some other things to do.
Right.
I just want to point out something here. That letter I read to you a little while ago, which was hand-delivered to me yesterday, is dated May 14th. Okay? May 14th. See for yourself, Ray. May 14th.
It crawled. It didn't get with the bus.
Yeah.
It crawled, and that's why it reached that late, George.
Damn it, couldn't they use a homing pigeon or something?
Well, they may be all, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're all on the cell phone too.
Maybe they're all on the cell phone. Let me see here. Kipling says, you cannot call a fool a fool. He or she won't understand what you're saying. So you would look like the fool.
Quite right with that too.
Ryan is saying, yes, Ray, one must be pragmatic about everything. And okay, folks, I think that's going to do it. Thanks a lot, Ray.
Good to be with you, and I hope you get from, I hope you get from, you will be hearing from Winthrop very soon.
Listen, you had to bring up Winthrop.
Yes,
I spoke to Winthrop and Sharon on Wednesday this past week. Ray, at about 2 o'clock this morning, I received a video from Sharon. She's in England.
Right.
It was a video of Winthrop putting on a performance at a cabaret. If you would hang on there for just a sec after we get off the air, I will show it to you. I am going to beg today on my knees. I'm going to beg Sharon. I'm not just going to put this on the air without getting authorization, okay? But if you see Winty in action, I even thought, I should send this to Ray. But I thought, no. Let me first get Sharon's approval. Ray, make sure you have an extra pair of diapers. Because this, oh my God, wait until you see Winty.
Well, you better tell him that, make sure West Indies win. When is it? Friday. They play Friday. They play Pakistan Friday.
This week.
Tournament starts Thursday with England, South Africa.
Uh-huh.
And then West Indies and Pakistan on Friday.
Okay. All right. So, boy, time's drawing now, eh? Action's about to begin. Okay. There's a note here now from Chris Davies. She's saying to Margaret Francis, the NHS is the most socialist and democratic way of supporting people. Adequate health care is a right. I agree that people need to take care of themselves, but we also have external factors which are pollutants in the environment affecting the food we eat, which can cause cancer. Chris has a valid point there. Mags is right. We need, a lot of things we do we shouldn't be doing. But Ray, at the same time, there are a lot of pollutants out there which we ain't have no control over.
Correct. But the only control we have, as Margaret quite rightly said, and I am conscious that if we do that, we will, the preventative action, I'm convinced that is the key. I mean, you look back at the years gone by and you look at the numbers going for so many different complaints, young people. I'm convinced because they're not active anymore.
Yeah,
Everybody just sit and eat some of the foods that they ought not to be eating.
Yeah.
And no exercise.
Yeah. We have to stop passing the buck.
Well, yeah, but
The
people got to
responsibility
get
for
back to doing,
basics.
yeah. Without that, I mean, we're going to just have a long line of people every day in the health centers looking for diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer and what have you. I'm not saying preventative action will stop everything, but I'm sure we'll have a more healthy population.
Margaret is responding to Chris here. Margaret, I'm reading this for the first time. Margaret says, Chris Davies, nobody disputes healthcare is a right. The fact is, government cannot do it all. Mags is right. A person who can afford private insurance should not be forced to use government insurance, and besides, it lessens the burden on government. In terms of Grenada, the most diseases are lifestyle diseases, heart disease, diabetes, hypertension.
She's right. That's what I'm saying. We can't ignore that fact. Whatever they come up with, I am glad it will be blessed and hopefully it will provide long service. But there's no doubt about it, George. Whether we like it or not, we got to get back to the preventative things we did in the past.
Yeah.
And it starts with our young boys and girls. In my days, they called it PE. You remember that?
PE?
Yeah.
Physical education. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that has to be part of our upbringing again.
All right, just before we say goodbye, let me say good morning. I've just been scrolling through here and I see that Chester Simon's been on for a little while. He's out there in Zurich. Benedict Cador, Chris Davies, Kipling, Sonia McKee, Fragrance Emmanuel. You know somebody named Fragrance Emmanuel?
I've seen the name already.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Ray, have a great weekend, and we shall...
Tuesday, George.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, why does today seem like Friday?
You declare many holidays. That's what you did.
When next do we have a holiday? Is this a holiday?
June the 9th, or the 10th. I think it's the 10th.
So
with Monday. Yeah, there's going to be a big track and field games here too. 9th and 10th of June at Queen's Park. So the Monday is a holiday.
And you'll be there.
Yes,
Don't forget, Aishona.
She's coming this afternoon at 2 o'clock actually.
Tell that lady we really need to talk to her.
I'll
Take
do
it
it.
easy, bro.
Good man.
All right. Folks, break time. We'll come on back and wrap it up.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Alrighty, folks, parting word from the Holy Scriptures. Today it comes to you from the book of James. James, chapter 4, 13 to 16. Now listen, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money. Why? You do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. James chapter 4, 13 to 16. Hey, Margaret and Margaret and Chris are still going at it. Chris responds to Margaret here by saying, it is not government, it is our taxes. We should be happy to care for each other. Margaret says, Chris Davies, we are fully aware that it is our taxes. However, health care is not the only expense government has. There has to be a balance somewhere. Idealism gets you nowhere. Chris responds to Margaret. Chris says, people who have private insurance don't use national health care. Is my experience. But the doctors are usually the same ones running both services in the Grens, in Grenada. Ryan says, thanks, George, stimulating morning program. And Margaret goes back at Chris. Boom, boom, boom. It's like they're playing table tennis. You guys been watching Ray Roberts. It's like they're playing table tennis here, man. Margaret says, as for caring for each other, I have no problems with that. But should that extend to people who deliberately make bad choices? Why should I or anyone else continue to support their bad practices? Chris then comes with a, yeah. Chris says, no arguments with taking care of ourselves. As I said before, having a comprehensive healthcare system is not idealism. Guys, you can finish that later, but right now, Georgie Porgy is going to hightail it out of here. I got to go and try and find some brekkie. God bless you, folks. By His grace, let's get together again tomorrow morning. I want to go and show Ray this picture, this video of Winty right now. This guy is going to croak. So long, pilgrims.